Good morning, good morning. Hope we're all well. So today I want to talk to you about progress and motivation. Both sort of interlinked, let's say, but they're both separate topics. There's some conversations I've been having recently with people we've been consulting with, and a few things that have cropped up with clients as well. So firstly, I want to just talk about motivation, okay? And then I'll cross that into how it links with the progress side of things. So when it comes to motivation, okay, most people at the very beginning of something, they will get really excited and they'll be all in and they'll be very focused. And this is just like our 6-week challenges. So people go through the 6-week challenge, are highly motivated. They want to get the best possible result going. And then after that 6 weeks, then their pace has to slow down, okay? Because it's very intense. Now, something that you can link this to, you ever bought something that you were really excited about, that you really wanted, you got hold of it, and then after about 2 weeks, you put it down and never used it again, right? Because you got bored of it, or it was just, or you just overused it, okay? So if you've ever bought something very similar to that, like I can remember with toys, okay? Got really excited about having a certain toy, and then what happened was I ended up getting bored after about 4 weeks and then didn't use it, and then got it out every once in a while. Well, that's no different to a body transformation, a lifestyle transformation, okay? For people when they're starting out, like the 6-week programs, when they're starting out, the motivation is very high, okay? And they're really like, yeah, I want to go for it, let's do it. And they're really all in, and go for it. Then what happens is usually after 6 weeks, their motivation drops off. And for want of half the problem with that is that it means that they're expecting the same level of results all of the time. Does that make sense? So a lot of people, they tend to find so they do go all in on the 6 weeks to get really good results. And then what happens is, then the results begin to slow. Okay, and that's natural because the body's having to sort of adapt anyway, and everything slows down. So in that case, then what happens is the progress slows down. All right, and then what will happen is somebody will come to me and they'll say, I haven't changed nothing's changed, and then we'll take an assessment, let's say, and then we'll see what's going on. So from that assessment, then I will look at the assessment and I'll go, okay, so your weights maybe stayed the same, your body fat's dropped a tiny bit, okay, and maybe your belly button's dropped, okay. That's still a positive, okay. You're not gonna lose continually weight, body fat, and measurements, okay? It doesn't work like that. Nothing's linear. In a body transformation, in a lifestyle transformation, nothing is linear. You're gonna have blips. Sometimes you're gonna go up, sometimes you're gonna go down, okay? But ultimately, it's trying to find something that works for you. Now, so from a motivational aspect, yes, your motivation is going to drop out, but you've just got to be persistent and consistent. It takes time, okay? It honestly takes time. And if you're expecting the same level of result from 6 weeks as to doing, and I'm just using the 6 weeks challenge as an example, but if you're expecting the same results every 6 weeks that you got in the very first 6 weeks, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that's unlikely that's going to happen, right? Because things are going to crop up in life that stop you being that focused on that particular area. And this is what I'm trying to teach you all, that, part of the process is learning about you, okay? This is you learning about you and what you need to do better and how you can deal with certain situations going on, whether that be a sickness bug, whether that be a holiday, okay? Whether it be a seasonal event like Christmas. So there's a few things that are coming up. Now, for Christmas, I'm going to give you a PDF with how to work around Christmas. But again, there's different methods, and I've had this conversation about 4 times this week. there's different ways of tackling things, okay? And there's no specific way that I can tell you to do it is right for you. It's a case of you trialing and erroring it, okay, to see how you handle it. Like, it'll all depend on various things, like the way you deal with situations. And I'm going to give you a quick example of this, all right? So, Christmas time, okay? People have been asking me already, what is the best way that I can avoid weight gain at Christmas? Well, there's a few options here, okay? So, you could try and keep everything dialed in prior to Christmas, okay? That's one way of doing it, right? Make sure you're exercising regularly and daily, right? If you're not working out here, work out at home. Make sure you're moving 10,000 steps a day. Make sure you're drinking plenty of water. Make sure you're eating lots of veggies, okay? Does any of that sound familiar? Yeah, it's the same stuff I tell you all year round, right? So just make sure you're doing that prior to Christmas. Now, when it actually gets to Christmas or the seasonal event, what I see a lot of is people actually, they'll go all in, like a bit like when they're on an all-inclusive holiday and eat everything and scoff the faces. I've been guilty myself, right? And they'll eat everything. They'll hardly move from the 23rd until the 2nd of January. They'll hardly move. They'll eat lots of food, okay? Foods that they probably don't normally eat, more generally dominant in carbohydrates, which also connected with all the sugars, the sweets, the fact that they're probably eating more calories over the period full stop than they do. And, you know, I've done it. I've come out at Christmas, again, been a stone heavier. I've done it on holiday and I've learned from that. And whether you listen to what I tell you or not, that is up to you, but it's all in your head, right? If you want real change, you've got to change up here and you've got to change your approach, all right? And I don't want to sound demeaning to people, but you've got to get focused. If you really want shit to change and not be the same year in, year out, then you need to make a change. It's you that needs to make the change, okay? Now, I'm just going to give you a scenario. There's a few options here when it gets to Christmas time, right? And this is an example. I just want to use this as an example for you, right? So, when it comes to Christmas time, you want to do one of a few things, right? One is you choose to eat what you want to eat on Christmas Day. You eat everything you can, right? Drink everything you can. Okay, and you have that day as downtime, nothing, no tracking, no monitoring, nothing, you just eat what you want. That's one way, okay? The other way is you allow yourself to have Christmas Day and Boxing Day because you maybe got social events on, okay, to do what you want. Again, fine, make sure you're getting your workouts in around the rest of the week. Make sure you're moving as much as possible. Okay, that's, again, another option. The other option is you can keep tracking as normal, monitoring as normal. Okay, just use your intuition, but like make sure you are fine-tuned with that. That's also an option. The other option that you can utilize is basically you could, if you really wanted to, you could cut your calories down in the week on the few days run up to maybe by, let's say, 300 calories a day for the 23rd and the 24th. Okay, you eat what you want on the 25th and 26th, and then you cut them down again on the 27th, 28th, 29th. Could be a solution. It's all calorie control, right? This is all what it's about. It's calorie control. Okay, now don't have all your calories obviously just purely from sugar because that's going to do you no favors. But if you get the calories in line, 9 times out of 10 it'll run smooth. Okay, so that's another way. The other option is, an option that I sometimes would do now, you load your plate with your veggies on Christmas Day, you load your plate with your meat, you have a small amount of carbohydrates, so like your roast potatoes, Yorkshire puddings, okay, and stuffing as well, and then what you do after that is then you will literally then have, if you're still hungry, either have a bit more veg, okay, or a bit more meat, or you wait to see how long it takes till you get hungry again and then have some dessert, rather than eating a massive piled plate with food on and then eating a big pudding straight after with no thoughts towards it all. All right. So what I'm saying is, when you have these occasions pop up, what you don't want to be doing, if it's a sickness bug, if it's a holiday, if it's Christmas, you don't want to be going through Christmas, going through a holiday, losing your motivation because you've not trained, because you've eaten like loads of shit. It makes you feel shit, okay? You're feeling tired. You're thinking, oh, this is hard work. I've gained a few pounds because you've weighed yourself, and then you're getting frustrated yourself. Why did I let myself go? Well, it's time to make a frigging change, okay? This year is time to make a change, right? If you want to do it, then fine. Keep doing that same cycle, but now is the time to make a change, okay? We want to educate you in all the processes. We want to make sure that you're literally getting everything that you need to get the best result over the long term. And slow and steady will win the race day in, day out. And if you've had sickness or been holiday or had a Christmas or something event come up, and you've just been knocked off the wagon, okay, you've got to just get up again, get your training booked in, okay, and then start your food from that day. Don't wait till Monday. If it's a Friday, start on the Friday. If it's a Tuesday, start on a Tuesday, right? Don't do the old adage, I'm going to start Monday. It's okay, right? And then you do that whole reset and recycle every week. Don't do that, okay? Don't be that person, right? Just start from that day. And if you feel that on that day you can go and do a workout, do a 20-minute workout. You've got no excuse. There's workouts in the Facebook group that are 20 minutes long with no weights. Okay? So don't get stuck. Don't let it demotivate you. If something's cropped up, just move on. Learn from it. Learn from that situation. Okay? So that's that side of things. Now, in terms of progress, okay, I want to just come back to progress a little bit and talk about that, because progress is not going to be always consistent. Like, it's not going to be linear, right? There's many a times where I've hit a wall and there's been multiple months have gone by where I've remained stuck, okay? Now, if this is you and you're stuck, you need to look at the basics again. Am I monitoring what I'm eating? In other words, am I tracking my food? Am I taking photos? Am I keeping a note of it? Honestly, have I eaten the best I could have for this last month, 2 months, 3 months? Have I recently had a check-in, okay, and had a weigh-in and measurement, okay? Am I pushing myself in my training as much as I could be? They're the 4 questions you need to ask yourself, okay, if you're not getting the results that you want right now, okay? And again, I'm not telling anyone off. There's no right or wrong here. We all have good months, we have bad months, life goes on, you just have to accept that this is part of it. And what happens is when we're getting weight loss, fat loss, you'll find that your results will get gradually slow. The more experience you become at training, the less progress you make, right? Just look at the bodybuilders. They take years. They take years to gain muscle, right? If you've been training a year in a gym properly, 3 days a week for the last 4 or 5 years, it's really hard to put muscle mass on. And I can tell you from my own experience, that's hard, okay? And you have to be eating everything right. You have to be nailing your food perfect. The whole point is you're trying to get the whole environment right for you, okay, to make sure your body can express itself in the way it needs to, which if you're training hard, you need to be making sure you're eating the right calories, you're eating the right macro base for your goals, okay, and basically make sure you're getting plenty of sleep, okay. Now, can things disrupt that? Yes. Right, there's lots of things that can totally disrupt that pattern, right? For building muscle, you need to be in an optimal range: sleep, food, training, recovery, all of it across the spectrum. All right, so you need to be optimal. Now, what things can disrupt this? Quite a few. One, hormonal changes going on in the body. Okay, females' monthly cycles. Unfortunately, ladies, I'm sorry, but you've probably got 2 weeks where you're in an optimal period to help benefit yourselves, right? Especially from a muscular standpoint of view. So, because the hormonal impacts. 2, could that affect your readings on your body fat and weigh-ins? Yes, 100%, because of water retention. Okay, so again, hormonal impacts will cause problems with your progress, or may cause problems with the progress from a weight and body fat perspective, okay, and probably from the measurements perspective. Now, when it comes to like progress, if you want to look at progress when you're lifting, then you need to look at, am I lifting more weight than I was? Am I fitter, okay, than I was last month or the month before? If the answer is yes, then you're making progress. You're making steps forward, okay? If your fitness levels have gone up, your half marathons are going up, your times, if your 5Ks are improving, you know, you're making progress. If you're feeling more energy, right? You're more bubbly, you're maybe more social, feeling more confident, clothes are fitting better, you're making progress. Progress isn't just about the weights and numbers. They're just numbers. Don't get hooked on them, okay? Like, the sooner you learn to let go of the numbers, the better, right? So my thing for you, to do with progress, is that progress is not continual. Some people will get like a nice steady drop off. Some people will get like more of a tiered drop off. Some people will get a straight flat line to start with and then have a big drop, flat line drop. And you then need to then go, okay, well, how can I address this? Okay. If you know you're not doing those 4 things I've mentioned, right? 1, you need to start doing them. Okay. And 2, you need to then figure out what's going on, where the flaws are. Now, I'm going to just tell you a little bit of story about a client that I worked with about 5 months ago. One small thing that we just literally changed. And I mean, one small thing. This client had been doing really well, steadily losing weight progressively, nothing rapid. And by the way, just so you know, in the grand scheme, in the longer term, weight loss wise, we only want to be aiming for £1 to £2 a week at very tops if it's weight loss, okay? For fat loss, you only are looking at probably between 1.5%, okay? Yes, 1.5% per month loss, okay? And they're the markers that we want to be using for fat loss, okay? Nothing rapid, nothing extreme, okay? Now, coming back to this client had been steadily losing weight. Then they hit a wall for about a month. Because they were having weigh-ins every 4 to 6 weeks, it was about a month and a half, 2 months by the time they came in to see me again. And we basically sat down, took the weights, and there were no change. So we'd been talking through everything, and it turned out that they hadn't been tracking. So they started tracking them. You only have to do a week every month, maybe. If you get good with it, then you won't need to do it, and you can learn to listen to your body. It's something that you get honed in on after a while. Now, with this particular client, now I'm in tracking. So I said, just track me for a week and see what's happening. They tracked for a week, and lo and behold, they're still doing what they should have been, because by default, they were naturally making those decisions. Now, the thing was, that person wasn't happy with where they wanted to be, so they wanted another push again. So then we needed to look at then what they'd been doing. So the person that had been doing it had been doing 3 training sessions a week, okay, mainly resistance-based, okay, and basically what we looked at was their nutrition, because they're hitting calories fine, but it was their macronutrients, so the fats, proteins, and carbs that weren't. So all we did, and literally all we did, was we took them low carb. I just said to them, would you be prepared to go low carb, which is 20% carbohydrates or less? Guess what? They did it. Guess what happened the next month? You ready for this? They were down 4 kilos, right? And they maintained that. Now, this particular person did that and then went away for 8 weeks, okay? They were traveling for 8 weeks. So, and they came back. They said, Nick, I'm really worried that my weight's going to have gone up, right? And because I've not stuck to the whole low carbohydrate thing, and not totally. Anyway, guess what? We got them on the scales. Same weight as when they came in the last time, right? So what that means is they managed to maintain and travel for 8 weeks without having a hiccup and going and reversing the progress. Is that progress? 100%. Would they have done that like 2 years ago, a year ago? No, they would have come back heavier. And they even realized this when we was talking about it. They were like, holy shit, I'm so surprised. I can't believe it. And it's because they pre-wired the brains to make the right decisions over time. But it takes time. This is why progress, sometimes you'll hit a wall, right? Don't get angry with yourself. Don't get frustrated. Don't kick yourself. We just need to look at the elements and go, okay, right. You've been doing this, this, and this. Have you been doing this part? No. Right. Then start doing this part. Let's address that. And then we can make change. Otherwise, if you come to me and you say to me, Nick, I'm not changing. My body's staying the same. And I say to you those 4 questions I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm going to say to you, I haven't got enough data, right? I'm not a miracle worker. You know, there's certain structures that can help for people, but ultimately, when it comes to like changing body and just anything in life, you need to put the work in, okay? And you need to be doing everything on point, all right? And we can't leave things to guesswork. The numbers off the scales, the measurements that we take for you are just markers. They're just markers to see whether you're progressing from a numbers standpoint, all right? Ultimately, it should be helping you get more confident. You should feel happy. You should have lots of energy. You should feel good in yourself, right? You should be energized. You should be like feeling on top of the world, right? You're going to be better now than where you were when you weren't doing anything. All right? But if you're not doing everything that you need, then please get that addressed first before you ask me what the flaw is, right? Because I'm going to give you the answer. Have you tracked your food recently? Right? Are you doing any extra workouts at home? Are you eating as well as you could be? Are you drinking every night, every weekend, whatever it might be? Because again, these are all things that are very, very important. So the more of a picture that you give to us, and this is why I would strongly recommend that those of you that are doing it, those of you that are clients with us, that if you've got, if you're using the app, that you log in via a web browser and you sync up MyFitnessPal with it, because we can give you some very good reporting based on that, okay? And this is why I want to encourage you to use the software, the online coaching software, as much as you can with us, right? Because at the end of the day, this is going to make a big difference to you. The more data we have on you, the more feedback we can give. But if someone comes to me and says, Nick, yeah, this week I've not had any change, and I say, well, what have you eaten? They go, oh, I've eaten the normal, I'm eating healthy. Have you eaten a healthy 5,000 calories or are you eating a healthy 1,500 calories? I don't know. Did you eat that? Was it like, did you have 30% protein, 30% carbs, 40% fats? I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that that's the rules that you need to follow, but if you're not giving me the information, I can't feed you back, nor can any of the coaches. Sorry guys, for me, I'm passionate about nutrition, and I don't want that to come across demeaning. It's not what I'm trying to say. But you need to get your things in line, okay? And the sooner you realize that, you know, it's about being consistent, perseverance, looking at all the bigger picture rather than isolating to just your nutrition, just your training, right? Is it your sleep? That's another one that I overlooked. Is it your hormones that are affecting it? If that is, then maybe you need to check with the doctors to make sure that you're either on the right medications or on the medication to sort it, right? Is it that you're overdoing it? You're training too hard? Are you monitoring like heart rate and stuff like that? I don't know. But these are the things you need to address. In the bigger picture, in the longer term thing, right? It's slow and steady wins a race, and don't put too much pressure on yourself, okay? If you've got a big goal for the end of the year, if you've got a big goal for 12 months time, right? Then let's make the steps work towards it. And let's utilize the implementation plans that I'm going to be rolling out next week. Okay? This is why we've introduced the implementation plans, right? And we're going to be rolling them out. It's took a lot longer than I anticipated because there's a lot of work that goes in. I'm not just going and going, right, looking at your numbers and going, right, this is what you need. I'm looking at your goals. I'm looking at how that pans out over 12 months. I'm looking at your current stats. And I'm also looking at where you're at right now with your nutrition, what you're doing. So this is, again, why I say, if you're not tracking, get tracking, right? I just need, even if it's just a week, I need it. It's really crucial because otherwise I'm telling you stuff based upon assumptions and I don't want to be doing that. All right? So anyway, food for thought for this weekend. Thank you for watching the video, guys, and I'll see you very soon.